Hello and welcome to, well, it's the weekend eve, but even more important, it is the night of the NFL draft. And guess who is on in the spotlight tonight? Kansas City. We are having the NFL draft. It is just, I am just so stoked about having the Chiefs here, or having, well, the Chiefs, but having the whole NFL in Kansas City. And, oh, I am having problems with, hello. DJs, my microphone is jacking up. Hello. Yeah, it's totally in and out, in and out. Is it the head? Oh, is it the headset? Oh, it's my bad. The headset is causing me to sound like that I'm going in and out. My bad. This is Any Given Sunday on KUAW. 816-599-6893 is the phone number. I would love to hear you guys chime in and hear I want to hear your picks and who do you think the Chiefs are going to pick in the first round, which is what is going to happen tonight. It's the first round of the NFL draft, and then tomorrow will be the second and third rounds, and then on Saturday it will be 4 through 7. Coach 24, Darwin Penny, is running a little behind, and our guest, D.L. Marshall, who I call Coach, he is coming in too. He's going to talk a little bit about his comedy show that he's going to do this. Oh, he's in the, he said he's in the back parking lot. So he is here. I just don't know exactly where he is, but he should be coming in shortly. But anyway, we're going to have a discussion. We had a show 5 years ago when it was the Urban 100, and we were called the Sports Disciples. We did a 2-hour NFL draft show. So we are going to kind of reminisce back on that. We're going to also check to see which quarterbacks are going to get picked in this year 2023 draft, and also find out who is the Chiefs going to pick at 31, and or what moves they're going to make outside if they're changing it from 31. So anyway, my headset is just totally killing me. I may sound totally normal to you guys on the radio, but my headset is totally jacking with me. So we'll just have to fix this, and I'm just going to have to adjust this somehow, and maybe it will work better. And oh, there we go. We got it going. So anyway, so right now, Bryce Young, the quarterback from Alabama, is scheduled to be picked number 1 overall by the Carolina Panthers. Now, here's the thing. The Houston Texans, they have the second pick and the 12th pick, but they have said many times that they have decided not to pick a quarterback. I think it's just a ploy to get everybody's attention, on them and focus on them, because I'm telling you what, they haven't been very good the last several years. And just showing up is Coach 24, Darwin Penny. How you doing?
Well, we got a lot more extra people in our cities.
Oh, just a couple. Did his microphone work? Because I didn't hear him. Oh, okay. My headset is totally just jacking with me. So it sounds like I was going in and out, and I didn't even know what was going on. And D.L. Marshall should be coming in anytime. He said he was in the parking lot. So, and here he is. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we got a
Great.
second coach. Coach DL
right.
Marshall.
Good to see you, Coach.
And how are you doing tonight, sir?
Man, I'm doing good.
I t- oh man, I'm telling you what, I'm so glad to see you. We're gonna talk about the NFL draft, obviously, and we're gonna go back. Today, I was listening to our show, which I believe was our last show that we did together 5 years ago on the 25th of April. We did the 2-hour version of the NFL draft, and you had left. You left early because you and your wife had to do something, and so we were picking who we thought and everything else, and who was going to go number one. And
Didn't I give some picks before I left or something like that? Or?
yeah, you did do that. We were talking about who was the stud and who wasn't, and I was just looking through this, and I was like, oh my goodness. It looked totally different than how we talked about it. There was people talking about, getting a backup for Big Ben.
Yeah.
And they did get that right. But remember, we were talking about that because he was talking about retiring. And then they drafted him, and then he goes, I'm not going to train him. I'm going to do my thing. Heck with him. And I was like, oh, my God.
Is that the draft where we were saying, telling a lot of people not to panic as far as with Alex Smith? And
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. We were talking about that because we were talking about other teams didn't have an Alex Smith type player.
That's right.
And we, not necessarily on this show, but we had a discussion about who was better, Alex Smith or Patrick Mahomes. Remember, I said Patrick Mahomes, and you were like, no.
Because he hadn't played a down yet.
Right. He had not played it down, but –
Oh, but when he did play it down.
Oh,
And he
yes,
played,
he did. He did.
Yeah.
So, and what happened today, Lamar Jackson finally
made it.
signed with the Raiders. Or, correction, the Ravens,
Yeah.
not Raiders.
Yeah.
They signed, and he's the highest paid player now. He did not get 100% guaranteed.
I would have left and went to Atlanta.
I
would have went to – can you picture – Lamar Jackson on turf? That's the second coming of Michael Vick. In that style of quarterback, that style of offense, on that style of surface, that's Michael Vick all over again. And to me, the NFL, MLB, NBA, not Major League Soccer, it's all about a relationship.
Yeah.
And when you sign that contract, you're saying that you're going to do what you said you were going to do within that relationship.
Right.
The confines of a relationship. It doesn't take a certificate of marriage to say two people are married, other than by the state saying you two said that you would do this under these conditions. And so I think that Baltimore showed Lamar Jackson just how little they appreciated what he gave them and what he did for them. And, he took the money that he took. His situation, I'm not privy to in the totality of it, but I definitely probably would have took out of Baltimore if I was Lamar.
I agree with you with that, but I think what happened was Cleveland Browns kind of threw the rug under all the other owners by giving Deshaun Watson that
money,
complete guaranteed contract. This wasn't Kirk Cousins getting a couple of years guaranteed. This was like 6 years of guaranteed money, and I believe that was the issue. I think that was more of the issue than them. And then it was kind of like the girlfriend. You were in a marriage, and the girlfriend comes in and screws everything up.
The side piece, huh?
Right. I seriously think so, because that's how I think Deshaun Watson is right now, because he hasn't performed at all. Yeah,
but
going
who's
through
at
all.
fault?
That was Cleveland, but Cleveland signed, but they would have signed him a lot sooner had that not happened.
I believe. If I'm an owner in the NFL right now, I'm looking no further then Kansas City, and then possibly Cincinnati. And what I mean in those regards is how they structured their quarterbacks. I mean, I'm not trying to say, hey, I mean, that there's like how you say you're trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Mm-hmm.
What did you really give Lamar Jackson a contract for? Was it to shut him up, or was it for your organization to be a successful winning organization for the next 10 years? If it was to be winning for the next 10 years, then that should have been a done deal at the end of last year. If you look at how they went down the drain after he left, yeah, Huntley did a good job, a serviceable job, we'll put it like that. But did you really want to go into a season with Huntley as your number one starting quarterback? No.
I think the deal, the question is not whether he got the deal after Deshaun Watson. The question is, why didn't he get a deal at the same time other guys in his draft class were getting deals, Josh Allen in particular?
Right.
So you had the opportunity to secure him and save you a little bit of money 3 years ago. Definitely. When those guys were getting deals. It's the same thing that you and I talked about with Jerry and Dak.
Yeah.
Okay. You had a chance to secure him early. You didn't. You let him get to a franchise level. And then I think the reason is not so much to shut Lamar up, but your fan base. Because it was the same thing. Well, Jerry, you let Dak go out there and get his leg broken. He didn't even have a contract. And it looked bad for the organization as a whole, as a PR move. But to your point, if you are worth that, then we should have had this deal. As soon as he won the MVP in 2019,
there you go.
There should have been a deal.
A restructure right
Absolutely,
there.
right.
Or at least talk about it.
Definitely.
Right, because you were in a position to do it. Right?
Yep.
And you could have set the bar instead of letting somebody else set the market.
Right. There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
And so all this time you've been allowing other people to set your market for your quarterback. Same thing as Jerry Jones did. You let other people, because once Carson Wentz and all these other guys got deals, Jared Goff, then Dak was like, I was a 4th-round pick. So I want to get paid because I didn't get paid on the first contract.
Right.
So I want to get paid now. And every year you wait, the price goes up.
Because these guys get older. They want to secure their money.
And whoever signs sends the price up for everybody. So when you could have gotten Lamar for $40 million a year, now your average salary is now going to be about $52 million a year with 5 years and $260 million. And how that's going to break down, they're still releasing the details to that. But at the end of the day, it's 5 years and $260 million.
With 185 guaranteed.
Yes.
So
the total guarantee is 185.
I also think that Jalen Hurts' signing moved it faster.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, regardless of what we think, and some people are ready to already put Jalen as a top 5 quarterback because of what he's done, but I still say it's 1 year.
It's 1 year.
If I was Philly, I wouldn't have gone that far in so soon. But at the end of the day, they could be like this team. If you wait another year and he has another good year, then that price just went up.
Yep.
So
I say the difference between Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson getting the money they got, compared to Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, no pun intended, but the latter two have not shown that they're durable in that position.
No.
Patrick and Deshaun, the only reason why Deshaun was out of football is because of the legal problems.
Yes.
Right.
Once that got cleared, he's always been durable and was a top-tier quarterback.
Right.
You look at those two quarterbacks, they're on the field, not 90, not 95, but 99% of the time, both of those quarterbacks are leading their teams. You put Deshaun in a reputable organization, I think his success probably would have taken off a lot faster, because you were talking about, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, that's who we were nervous going up against until Pat became Pat and made that run.
Yep.
So when you're looking at a contract to say, okay, well, we'll give you this, but we won't give it guaranteed. But so what does Lamar Jackson have to do in the eyesight of the ownership of Baltimore to say I'm deserving of this? Because if you look at Josh Allen and the money he's getting in Buffalo, Lamar Jackson has been way more, if not just as much, successful in the NFL as Josh Allen has.
Right.
I mean, you look at Josh Allen for the last 2 years have had the number 1 or number 2 defense in the league.
Oh, yeah.
And probably 2 of the best targets that any quarterback could dream of. And you've not produced anything. Now, you can say on the Burrow end, he may not have won a MVP, but he's gotten to the Super Bowl. Well, Lamar has won the MVP, but his postseason record isn't the best. But I would say if you look in the AFC, excluding the new entry of Aaron Rodgers, then you're looking, to me, the top 3 success rate, and we're looking at the back of the card now. Top 3 success rate would be Mahomes, Burrow, and Jackson in the AFC, arguably,
Well, the signing today and the possibility of Baltimore getting DeAndre Hopkins tells me that Kansas City is the number 1 team, and I think Baltimore oversides Cincinnati and becomes the 2nd team to challenge Kansas City.
Well, until they prove they can beat Kansas City, then they would still be behind Cincinnati to me, because Cincinnati has at least proven it could beat Kansas City in a playoff game and in a regular season, where Baltimore has not beaten Kansas City in a postseason game.
One regular season.
Right. So to me, until they do that, I'm gonna give Cincinnati the edge. Now, again, you add another piece. They're bringing in Odell. We don't really know what Odell is going to be like. But one thing I believe is that Odell won't be what Odell was 5 years ago.
No.
All right. So, but compared to what he's had there in the form of receivers, then we believe that they're going to. But I think they also have to address running back, because they've gotten old at that position.
Oh, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
they're going to have to. So Baltimore's going to have to address that. And now, paying Lamar this much money, are you still going to stay committed to him carrying the ball that much? Are you ready to take that much of a risk?
Right. Especially when you open up the checkbook the way you did. And a lot of people, we know it because we're here. We get to see face value the Kansas City Chiefs turmoils, what we had with Orlando Brown, and then hopefully what we got with DeJuan will rectify that. But Baltimore didn't have the best of offensive line either.
Correct. Right.
Hence the scrambling of Lamar Jackson.
Right.
But it showed a lot in the playoffs. You have a durable line, then they come away with that win. What was that, against Cincinnati?
Well, all they need to do is not fumble the ball.
There you go.
It's a fumble in a scoop and score, and that was the difference. That was the difference in the game. So we do know that Baltimore can still play great defense. They can still be more than formidable on defense, and if they can keep it to their style of game, which is going to be a low scoring, grind it out, then it's going to be this. Here's my nervousness with Lamar. Okay, I want to see him continue to evolve as a complete quarterback, because no matter who you are and what position that you play, if you rely on athleticism, eventually athleticism goes away.
You age out.
Absolutely. The quarterbacks who have lasted long are guys who didn't require athleticism.
Tom Brady,
Peyton Manning. Okay, those guys, they lasted a long time. Favre was athletic, okay, but he didn't rely on it. When you rely on it, no matter what position you are, I mean, think about elite speed receivers, and when they can't run anymore, where are they?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Okay, where are they? Those guys, at some point in time, you got to run routes and you got to catch the ball. When the speed is gone, then where are you?
Yeah.
Okay, same thing. Think about one of the fastest running backs we've ever seen, Chris Johnson.
Yeah.
When he didn't have elite speed no more, he was immediately out of the league.
Right.
So it's the same thing I'm going to say about Lamar. Right. Lamar is as elite an athlete as we've seen at that position, to your comparison of Michael Vick. Okay, we don't know. I think actually Mike Vick being locked up extended his career.
I do too.
It extended his career. One thing, that was a couple of years of not wear and tear on the legs, and then he got a year to basically sit when he came back and evolve.
And got bigger.
Got stronger, and he evolved as a passer in Andy Reid's system in Philadelphia. And so, But if he had continued trying to be an elite athlete and not evolve, then his career gets cut a little bit shorter.
Okay, saying this, now Baltimore has a new offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
What does that do with the philosophy? Because the Baltimore's offense has been geared completely around Lamar Jackson, which is unusual than the other quarterbacks, say Patrick Mahomes, even Aaron Rodgers. This is totally different. He was more of a running quarterback before he was a passing quarterback. Mm-hmm. And most quarterbacks, don't they throw first and then run later? So how will the offensive scheme work for Lamar? Are they going to rely on him to throw, like 60, 70% and run only very little, where he was running over 50%?
I don't think they're going to change a whole lot, because the head coach is still the same. Whoever you bring in as an offensive coordinator, you're still saying, this is my team, this is my philosophy, and Harbaugh's always been ground first, right? The question is, can he take some of those carries away from Lamar, right? Some of the design. He's going to improvise. Mm-hmm. That's who he is. But can you take some of the design runs out? Are you going to take a few more of those RPOs out and then transition into something that would be a little bit more West Coast, where in the West Coast offense, they say that a short pass is equal to a long handoff. Yeah. So I think that's what you may see a little bit, just to protect him. And I think you may also see, if anything, from an offense coordinator, how their pass blocking scheme may change a little bit, just to try to create some different lanes for him to throw in. But I don't see them getting away from who they are. That's their identity. They still play in a black and blue division. Right. And with them, the Steelers, Cleveland, Cincinnati, that's still a black and blue division. I know Joe Burrow's coming in there looking like Joe Namath with his white coat on and his big stogie in his mouth. But that's cold weather. Those are outdoor teams. You're going to have to be physical in that division.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I believe in agreement with you, Coach. I think that these are professional, high elite athletes, and it doesn't take them long with the film that they have before them compared to what yesterday was. And they get a chance to see what they have to do. In college sports now, a lot of the schemes that they're playing in college are professional schemes, and offensive sides of the ball get together and work a lot quicker than defensive side of the ball, because you get to throw, play, catch, you get to do blocking schemes, where with defenders it's kind of hard doing something when you don't have nothing coming at you. So I believe that the blocking schemes will come quick. And my biggest thing is, will he have the receivers to take away the RPO? And what I mean by replace, like when you see a quick 7-yard slash or a hook and go or hook and just something that I can get the ball out my hand. Because what we saw Lamar try to do especially last season, it was his feet were good and he scanned and he let it go when he had separation. He just wasn't getting the separation at the time.
Right. I couldn't agree more. Lamar has to have receivers that can get separation, because his go-to guy is not a guy who creates separation, which is Mark Andrews, the tight end.
Right.
So now we're looking at trying to scheme a guy, find a hole. But now I think if he can get some guys that can be a little bit explosive, either in the short game where they can run after catch, or guys that he can get the ball, extend the ball down the play. Or when do you see Lamar ever throw 50-50 balls?
Never.
He doesn't have that guy.
No.
He doesn't have that guy.
So does OBJ become that guy? Because he used to be the speedster with the hands, but now because he is on the north side of 30, we don't know. None of us know how well he can perform. He's virtually played a season and a half of no football. So the only good thing is he's not beat up. But how will he do that? And if they do decide to get Hopkins, how does that transition in with it?
I think what it does is it gives him an opportunity to throw those 50-50 balls, especially red zone, right? Red zone is where it's going to be really, really key, because in the red zone, everybody took away what they want to do was take away Mark Andrews in the red zone. Right. And so that was his guy. And I think he still needs somebody that he can extend the defense down the field, because if they don't, man, then it takes away his box, right, which he needs to do the other things in their offense with the RPOs and things like that. So I think that they'll figure out what they can do. One thing that OBJ is always was good at, and it wasn't so much that he was elite speed, but how he could change speeds. Right. And when you see good NFL route runners, they're guys who can change speeds where they can get up into a guy and then burst by him. And then OBJ, he was always great at getting separation, either through the cuts that he could do, or, like I said, he's a guy who could come off the line at about 75%, and then, boom, he could accelerate into 100% and create some separation. And then, other than that, Eli would throw him a 50-50 ball.
Right.
Let him go get it.
I think that my nervous level would be with OBJ is how strong is that knee? Because now his role has changed with his age and with his injuries. He's no longer the outside guy. He can start outside, but the majority of his routes is going to have to work him inside. Do you want that surgically repaired knee in that grit, as you call it, the black and blue, in the red zone? Do you want OBJ in there?
Not necessarily.
You see what I'm saying? So,
right.
Yeah, those hands are still that 50-50 ball. It's going to snatch it. That's what you want him to be. A new school or a Michael Irvin 2.0, what Sammy Watkins was to us a few years back, what Juju was to us last season. You would love for OBJ to give you that. And then an occasional, when I'm feeling good, it's warmer outside, I can still get by you too. But I would just be nervous sending him into what they really need on that knee just right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the best things that did happen to him with this injury is that because of when the injury happened in the Super Bowl, that he didn't play last year. Had that happened, let's say, prior to the playoffs, he would have really been pushing to get back on the field last year, because, there was a lot of conversation last year about him playing with Dallas and a whole lot of other people. And so, but he never got there. And I think that was the best thing that happened to him, because at the end of the day, nobody was going to sign him until they saw him run and cut.
That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
And so now he's going to be, when the season starts this year, he's going to be close to 18 months post-op. His chances of being strong and fully healed, I think, are better now because he did not play last year.
Yeah.
That'll work.
I can agree.
Yep. Well, we are at halftime on any given Sunday. Guest, Coach D.L. Marshall. We got Coach 24, Darwin Penny. We've got DJ Scatter, George Walker behind the scenes. I am Brian Kress, the Awesome Voice. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to start talking about this draft that is here in Kansas City.
Man.
given Sunday. This is Brian Cress, the awesome voice. Across from me, my brother with another mother, Coach 24, Darwin Penny. We've got our guest, Coach D.L. Marshall.
Yeah.
And there it is. And behind the scenes and running the show for us, DJ Scatter, George Walker. Mr. Walker, how are you doing this evening?
We're doing super fantastic this evening. Can't be better.
That's right. That's right. And Kansas City is shining. They are the stars of this city, because we've got the NFL draft and it's here in Kansas City, and later on we're going to talk about what you've got going on this weekend. But let's talk about the draft. We've got quarterbacks. So all the way back from 1983 when 6 quarterbacks were drafted. Now I want to say really quick, do you realize that 5 of the 6 quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round in 1983 were all from the AFC East?
Wow.
Because Baltimore drafted John Elway, not Denver.
That's right. And he refused to play.
Right. So they traded.
He said, I'll go play baseball.
And Kelly went to Buffalo. Eason went to New England. O'Brien went to the Jets. And then Marino, which is kind of like Lamar Jackson, he should have been a lot higher up, and he was the bottom guy, and he ended up being an MVP quarterback.
Yeah.
So anyway, last year you have Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, who succeeded for the 49ers. Now, we have at least 4 quarterbacks and a possible 5th one, but there are 4 quarterbacks, and for the longest time they were going back and forth. But right now, Bryce Young is considered to be the number 1 pick. It's about the only
sure
thing right now, because after that, you don't know what's going on.
That's true.
So you got Bryce Young. You don't know where G.J. Stroud will go. He may go 2nd to Houston. He may go 10th. We just don't know, because it's what these owners are wanting. So where do you think some of these guys are going to go?
Well, let me say this. If I was picking, I'm scared of little quarterbacks. I'm going to just tell you that right now. Little quarterbacks scare me because we talked about earlier, Coach, durability.
Durability, yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I know he's had the best college career. When we talk about Bryce Young, but he's also had the best talent around him, right? Playing at Alabama. If I was picking, I'd probably pick Stroud number 1. Right. Now, if I'm Houston, I think the safe thing to go with is to go with Bryce Young. So if you're Carolina, take that guy, number 1. It's safer. He was more consistent in college if you look at the tape, but I think long-term durability may be a challenge there. Houston, I think, goes defense with their first pick, but they got 2 picks in the first round, and the odds are there's still going to be a quarterback at 12 when they pick again.
So do you think they will pick a quarterback?
I do think they'll pick a quarterback, but I don't think they'll pick a quarterback first. I think they'll go edge first. We got D'Amico Ryans coming in, taking over. He's a defensive-minded guy. He's going to try to get that defense ready first, and he'll use a serviceable quarterback for the first year. And if anybody were to take a projection quarterback, for me, I would think it would be Houston, unless Carolina, for some strange reason, doesn't take Bryce Young. Then Houston, I think it's a no-brainer for them. Then they have to take him. But I think for them, they go defense first, and then there will still be another quarterback sitting for them at 12 on that pick they get from Cleveland.
So how much of a wild card is Anthony Richardson?
Big wild card. He's the guy that if I was drafting, he'd be a guy that if I'm New Orleans at 29, maybe I pick him there.
Really? You would think that he would go down that as far as Lamar Jackson?
He only started 1 year at Florida.
Right.
And he wasn't very accurate. He's not ready to play. Okay. So if I'm New Orleans just traded for David Carr.
Right.
So they got David Carr, and he was a free agent. So they took him there. That's where I'd take that guy. He's the guy that I'm afraid of because he put up all of that combine information.
Right.
But when we look at the tape and how he actually played in college, and he was only a 1-year starter, we're not talking about a guy who started for 30 or 40 games in college. We're talking about a guy who started for about 13 games. For me, he's the guy, he's the wild card that goes, if I'm going to take a chance on him in the first round, that's where I take him. If I'm one of those teams down at the bottom, because that's the first team that I see him actually fitting into, unless possibly at 20, the Seahawks could take him and let him learn under Geno.
Yeah, I could see that. And then with Geno's history, it's not to say that Geno will be as consistent next year as he was. I'm pretty sure that he won't play to the magnitude that he did this year, but I think what he did was not a force. I think that maturity set in on Geno, and that's the reason why he was as successful as he was. When you look at Bryce Young, taking into account the height and size and all that, I'm with you. I would not – if Houston should not pick a quarterback in the first round, I mean, the mess that's down there. Who are they going to throw to? Who's really protecting them? They didn't have – well, they had – a sort of a run game that Lovey was turning around, but we got to now get the players to buy into what this new coach is selling.
Right.
It's shambles. I really believe they have a mindset of liking next year's draft class of quarterbacks.
So in other words, I think you're kind of saying that you would be saying the same thing I was, where you don't draft quarterbacks, you still have a subpar year, you're going to pick high, and then be able to pick what quarterbacks are going to be very
That
good.
can be your franchise.
Right.
I like I say, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
But if some reason Carolina brain farts on this,
Yeah, and that's the team I could see, because if you look at the teams that's listed 1 to 5, right, it would have to be either 1 Carolina or number 6 Detroit.
I still and right now the Colts need to draft a quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
They do.
But Frank Reich don't like little quarterbacks.
At all.
He want big, strong,
That's right.
6'4", 230-pound quarterback. So
But he's not
like,
in Indianapolis no more. He's at Carolina.
He's at Carolina.
Carolina, right?
That's right. That's
so
right.
you got them, but I don't think Indy. They're going to pick a quarterback.
Right.
So, and that's why I say, if for whatever reason he decides not to pick Bryce Young, for me, Houston, you got to take him.
Now,
And I agree with you that they don't have what he needs to be the starter. But why do you have to start him day one?
Because that's Houston. Now, if we were talking about another organization, they would service him like Kansas City did Mahomes behind Smith. But because that's Houston, they're going to find a way to break him before he's ready to fly out the nest.
Yeah.
I would think you would possibly get a quarterback. If I was Houston, if I was Arizona, I would literally say, okay, let me go look at the tape, because Arizona's not afraid of smaller quarterbacks because they got Kyler.
Yep.
Right? Now, I get what you're saying as far as with the durability, but let's look at what division that Young came out of, or conference in football.
Right.
So he's shown that he can play against other professionals and play against other professionals well. And I just think that I'm glad I'm not a GM that would have to really just take a FanDuel chance and pick Bryce Young, because I don't want to be the GM that looked over him because of the size, because I'm fearful of that too.
Right.
And then he's a world beater.
Right.
Or pick him, and then he crumbles because he's not big enough.
For me, as long as you don't go reaching on the other guy, like a Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
So the kid that's out of Kentucky this year?
Oh, Levis.
Don't go there. I think Stroud is neck and neck with him.
See, I think Stroud is a better quarterback than Young, and let me explain why. Alabama, even Nick Saban, is as phenomenal as they have been successful in the SEC. No quarterback at Alabama has been successful since Ken Stabler in the 70s. And you can say, well, Jalen Hurts played at Alabama, but he also played at Oklahoma with a quarterback coach.
Right. When Tua is healthy, he's played well.
But will he retire?
Yeah, you're right. I would. I would too.
Well,
there's his.
I would.
But when he was healthy, he's played well.
He's played well.
Your point is spot on. But there's always got to be a first, because you could say the same thing about every Texas Tech quarterback till Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
That's true.
All of those guys put up unbelievable numbers.
Yeah, they were slingers in college.
Gunslingers.
And then they was duds. The cannons didn't load when they were.
It did not translate to the NFL. So your point is well taken on Alabama, because Alabama never really asked their quarterbacks to do as much as they did. They put the ball in. Now, here's the crazy part with Alabama not having all of those great quarterbacks. Look at the list of receivers they've put in the league in the last decade.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
So it's the receivers making the quarterback.
Right.
So I think the secret recipe, and this is Monday morning quarterbacking, what I'm about to do. But if you look at the recipe of success for the quarterbacks in this new elite class of guys, every successful quarterback that we're seeing right now as phenoms have had a stellar coach and a good running game. Now, I know a lot of people going to be like, Marshall, you crazy, talking about the Chiefs had a good running game. We had a good running game.
We did.
When Mahomes got here, yes, sir.
We had a good running game. So even so much so that people were complaining. Now, I've been here through the Schottenheimer years and my man that went to Buffalo, Levy, all those guys.
Yep.
And I remember saying, man, we don't never throw. Well, we never threw because they didn't have confidence in the quarterback, right? Yeah. But when you look at the running game that we have when we do use it,
yeah, absolutely.
If Reed ever just said, all right, this game here, I'm going to run the ball, say 20 times in the first half, and I'm going to run the ball 15 times in the second half. Do you know how off balance a team would be?
Right.
Knowing that at any one of those given moments that I play to run, 15 going over my head. And I think that is when you look at when Lamar first got in the league, they had a good running game. That's the reason why their RPO was crazy. You look at Jalen Hurts now. That's why that RPO was crazy. You look at Mixon with Burrow and what's the other guy's name that we cut?
Perrine.
Perrine.
Yeah,
yeah.
You look at those guys. Even in Buffalo, you got good running games to where you allow the nerves to settle. I can get a handoff, and we're not pressed back. And then now if I throw the ball only 5 to 7 yards, I got a first down. And then 5 to 7 turns into 12 to 15, and then next thing you know, home run.
Right, but this is not a running back league anymore. In 83, you had Eric Dickerson. In 89, you had Barry Sanders. In 90, you had, or no, 90, was it 91, Emmitt Smith? 90, you had Emmitt Smith. You don't have those anymore. You've got one guy, Robinson from Texas. Other than that, you do not hear of any.
Consider this though, Brian. Consider this. Why was Mr. Irrelevant all of a sudden relevant down the stretch in San Francisco? Debo Sanders.
Because they had a running game.
They had a running game. So the back is not being used the same.
Running game, that's it.
Yeah.
So the running game is not reliant on a bell cow anymore.
Right.
Okay, except for in Tennessee. Okay, they got a bell cow.
And you see what that's
right. They could be trading him tonight.
It's a 2-back system
that's
at
it.
least, right? And it's what type of running game? There's downhill running game, or there's a running game of deception, right? When you look at San Francisco and what they do, there's a lot of people and a lot of moving parts, a lot of motion and everything like that, but they still run the dadgum ball, right? You remember what the mama said in
yes,
no,
not the blind side.
The blind side. She called down there, called the coach, run the dadgum ball.
That's it.
Right?
Right.
So and then there's still a few guys left around from the Bum Phillips era who used to say, if you put the ball in there, there's three things that happen. The two of them are bad.
Yep.
That's it.
Absolutely.
So but the need to go for a running back early,
Oh no.
there's no
Right.
need, because I can still get a quality running back late in the first round, second round, third round, fourth round.
As
I-
Cheese
I-
proved
I-
it, seventh round.
Absolutely, I can find that guy.
And the reason I brought up running back was not to draft, but the teams that already have a solidified run game.
Right.
Those would be, I feel, that these quarterbacks would come in and service the best.
Look at the difference the run game did for Jalen Hurts.
Definitely.
It allowed him to grow.
Mm-hmm.
It allowed them now to put the ball in his hands more often and now let him take chances.
Mm-hmm.
But his first year, they were very, very conservative with him as the starter
Right.
and allowing them to run. And if you got a quarterback like him who has escapability and ability to run, then you build that into
That's
the running
right.
game. But the old school, we're going to give it to Emmett 30 times.
That
again.
day is
Tho-
over.
tho- Those days are over,
Except
right?
if you're a Titan
Right.
Absolutely.
by the name of Henry.
Right.
Absolutely, right? And we know here's what historically we've seen is running backs who have back-to-back 300 carry years start to decline.
That's it.
Right?
Yep.
We saw that after the first 4 years of Ezekiel Elliott. We saw the decline because he had 300 carries, and then when you add in the passing game, now you're talking about 350. I'll go back to you guys remember the Dirty Bird and Jamal Anderson.
That's it.
They ran him
Yeah.
400 times.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was over after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
never the same
He was
after
never
the
the
Super
same.
Bowl.
No. And even as big as his legs and lower extremities were, that still wore him down.
Well, Earl Campbell's the best example. He
Absolutely.
probably had the biggest legs.
Yeah.
ever.
Right. But that's usually a magic number. When you get beyond 300 to 350 touches,
Right.
that takes a lot out of you.
That's a car wreck.
Right.
Well,
Each time.
That's what Emmitt Smith called it.
Yeah.
He said, you want to know what an NFL running back is like? He said, get in your car, drive about 20 miles an hour, jump out on the concrete, get back in your car and do it again
Do it
about
again.
20 times.
That's
Wow.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
And notice he said at 20 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you saw a guy like him who lasted as long as he did. But one of the reasons why, because he didn't take a lot of direct hits.
I was about to say that with Marcus Allen. You never
yes.
seen Marcus Allen fall backwards. He slid and fell forward.
Right.
And I see a lot of that when we had McKenna.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of that slithery type of moving. Pacheco runs a lot bigger than what his statue says.
He runs like Adrian Peterson. He runs angry.
I'm going to tell you, he runs the way the expectations got Clyde Edwards drafted.
Yeah.
They were expecting that beast to be in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Right. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire runs more like he's in Pacheco's statue.
Yeah.
So it's almost like Dr. Doolittle switched them up. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk a little Chiefs.
Okay.
So 31st pick. Who does Kansas City get?
I'm not gonna put a name on it, but all I'm gonna say this is
Just a position, or are they going to move up or move down?
I don't see a reason for them to move up. If anything, they'll move down. But I think that they draft a receiver at that 31.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna say best available.
Yeah.
And I think at that spot for the needs, probably a defensive lineman or offensive lineman. I think they're fixing to start trying to plug in some replacements and give them a season or two behind some guys.
Right.
So when some contracts inflate, they can say, okay, you can step away. I've noticed that trend with Kansas City. But we have so many picks again in this draft
Right.
that think about it. If they pick in 31, that's just like picking first in the second round. So
Right.
I think they're going to stay put there. But I think whatever is best available in offensive lineman, defensive lineman, then receiver.
Well, I think they will not drop down because they're in Kansas City. They want them to pick somebody tonight. I think they could drop a draft pick or two because they don't need 10 more picks like they did last year. But saying that, at 31, I think McDonald from Iowa State, the defensive lineman, that's who I've got going.
If I was going to move and I was Brett Veach, I would really have studied hard what those Cardinals' needs are. And I would go after Hopkins. I would aggressively go. And here's why. I know a lot of people say, well, we don't need him. We got this. It's only so many receiver slots. But as long as he's in a Kansas City jersey, he's not in Buffalo. He's not in Cincinnati. He's not in Baltimore.
Oh, totally agree.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best thing you can do is keep him off somebody else's
That's
roster.
it.
Right.
And he'll be happy here because I was watching a podcast where they said don't say a word just based off of your expression. And then they said a couple of teams. He kind of did this when they mentioned Buffalo, but with the Chiefs, he nodded and smiled.
Quietly, I hope the receiver that they do take, though, at 31 is Quentin Johnson out of TCU.
Okay. Yeah.
He's from my hometown,
I can see
T-Town,
that fit,
Texas.
too.
There you go.
Shout out Temple, Texas.
There you go. Now, we're getting near the end of our show. We still have the best segment, but I want you to talk about what's going on this weekend with you.
Well, this weekend with me, we're back in town doing the Gentlemen of Comedy tour. Not only do I talk about sports when I'm on radio, I talk about music when I'm on radio, entertainment, but I'm also a stand-up comedian. So we've been touring the country. 2022 had a good run, kicked off 2023 in January, and we've been moving around. And so we'll be here at the historic Gym Theater, 1616 East 18th Street, and the historic Gym Theater. And, man, I'm ecstatic. I get a chance to play a room where Cab Calloway, Count Basie, Billie Holiday, Charlie Bird, Parker, all those greats have been through there. And the guy was telling me that is the manager over the properties. He's like, I don't understand why you guys are the first to want to bring a comedy show here. And I said, well, if Kansas City show us love, then we'll be back. So we've sold out the VIP section, which, Brian, you will be backstage with us before the show in VIP. But we still have some general admission tickets available, $25 between right now and tomorrow. But starting at Saturday morning, 12 midnight, the tickets are $30 only. And you can only get them online until 3:30 p.m. on Saturday. After 3:30 p.m., it's at the door only.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, I know he would have been there, but his job does not allow him to do that. Well, at least for this weekend.
Well, that's understandable.
So we've got, and I am so looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm stoked. We got some radio stations. We're on 19 different stations, and we add number 20 May 20th. And I thought that was so ironic and special that the 20th city that the show will be in, DL's Backstage Pass, will be on May 20th, the Saturday after Mother's Day. But they're coming in, and they're showing us love. We've got Boss Lady and Ed Rollins. Boss Lady's out St. Louis, Missouri. She's going to be emceeing with Ed Rollins of For His Will Poetry. And then we've got Jay Melody. It's going to open, got some music and some tunes going. Billy Burrs Sr. going to be singing. We got DJ Missy E going to be on the ones and twos live on stage with us. And then we got Deep Dimensions going to kick things off, rap artist, rap group. And then the Gentlemen going to kick the show off about 8:05. And if you have experienced the Gentlemen of Comedy, then you know what you're getting yourself into. If you have never experienced the Gentlemen of Comedy live show, you might want to stop by your local CVS or Walmart, pick you up some of them real fashionable Poise or Depends, and come on in and test your bladder. So again, 7:30, the show starts. The door is going to open at 6:45, so that you can come in. The theater doors for seating won't start till 7 o'clock.
Right, and VIP starts at 6.
6 o'clock VIP. That's why you VIP. You come on in, and I want to say shout out to Wings and Things Express on Truce. They're my peoples, and they're catering the VIP. So we're going to have some Wings and Things for VIPs. You guys are going to have some the sparkling grape juice. Don't want to get y'all turned up too much with the real stuff.
Right. There you go.
And then, bottled water, some sparkling water, some soda for those that drink it. And then you guys get a chance to get front row seat. So
absolutely. Yeah. So great, and I'm so looking forward to it. But still, the best segment of the show, Penny for your thoughts.
All right, Penny for your thoughts today is going to go out to my former boss and the guy who brought us a World Series championship here in Kansas City after 30 years, Mr. Dayton Moore.
Dayton
is one of the finest men I've ever met, and so many of you may have read his original book that he came out with, Championship Season. Well, Dayton is also now about to release his second book called One Good Thing, and it centers around people in Kansas City who have done great things philanthropically for this city, and that are people who have Christian-based values and who are going to do great things. It's part of a group that's called Unite KC that I'm proud to have been a part of, and the book is going to be released here later in the next week. You'll be able to get it on Amazon and everything like that. But just one of the great men that you'll ever meet, regardless of what some people may have thought about him as a baseball man. But he gave Kansas City what it hadn't had for 30 years.
That's definitely true.
And that was a championship run. So
And never remember did it the way he did it.
Right. And remember the book, One Good Thing. And that's what I'm going to encourage everybody to do, is just stop and think about it every day and do one good thing to help somebody else.
It's funny. I got a Dayton Moore story real quick if we got time.
Yeah.
In 2021, coming off of the pandemic. No, I take that back. Was it 2021?
2020 was COVID.
Okay, so it was either 19 or 21. I'm going to say 21 for the sake of the story. But coming off of that, we had just – what did my daughter do? 20. Yeah, so it was 2021. We had the best season. I was coaching the girls at Central High School. We had the best season, first time in about 30 years that we made it to district, won the league. We was tops in districts. And someone nominated me for Blue Cross Blue Shield Kansas City Royals Coaches with Character. And I won. And, man, when I tell you Dayton and his staff rolled out the red carpet, I did not know he was going to address us before the game. And he took time out of his busy GM schedule, president schedule, talk with us, and then said, does anyone have questions? Now, I was like, yeah, I got questions. I said, but I've been filming this whole experience. Do I have to turn off my phone? And Dayton took a step up. And this is on my Facebook page. He took a step up. He said, ask me whatever you want to ask me. And he gave me an interview right there.
Oh, wow.
And then he took me to Steve Fiziot. And then I got a chance to do an interview with Steve Fiziot. That he interviewed me. And I threw out the first pitch, man. And it's just, I found favor with God first, and he said that if you find favor with him, he give you favor with man. So the things that Dayton has done, I know someone that I definitely will not name personally that Dayton has helped in a mentorship stage. So, man, very good man. Yeah.
Absolutely. Phenomenal show tonight.
Yeah.
Glad you came on.
I appreciate the invitation.
Coach 24, I am always blessed whenever you are able to make it. And the only time you don't is through work. But I love it when our show, it's not mine. Our show is always better when he's on there.
And I'm going to say shout out to Marvin Durant. He's going to be at the show.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. I can't wait to see him.
Yeah.
So awesome show.
Thanks, Brian.
We got the NFL.
Thanks,
we got the NFL draft. DJ Scatter, George Walker runs the show. He is so phenomenal himself. I love you guys, and everybody who watched us tonight. Thank you very much. And with that, I am Brian Kress, the Awesome Voice, Coach 24, Darwin Penny, George Walker, and Coach DL Marshall. Be awesome, not angry, and you guys have yourself a great NFL draft